Neil, we just spoke to Tom Cliverley earlier, and Watford have had a decent start, and it looked on paper a hard start. So that's what you got to do in that Championship, isn't it?
It is. It's relentless at this time. You're desperate to get that first win under your belt, and then you can go on. And I think it's, anybody can beat anybody. It's a great league, Al. It's probably best in Europe regarding competition.
Neil, I was going to say 10 clubs EFL competition this week. I think 10 clubs in the top flight beaten by clubs from the lower sides. I understand totally a lot of team changes, obviously because the Championship in particular, very tough and long campaign. Was that a big surprise to you to see that?
Not really, no, Ali. I think now the Championship clubs they don't take the EFL Cup serious. Really, they give we've all got an excuse. Really, we want to play, we want to give minutes to the kids, or we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to save injuries for the weekend, and that's how it's been for the last couple of years. Really, it's got worse. I'm surprised that they've not found something else to do now with all the fixtures that's coming up. It's not the cup that it was, and I think it's sad, really. But that's how it goes, really. And it's not until the later rounds that the top teams really have a go for it.
Yeah, I don't know if you were listening earlier, Neil, but it's a good point we should bring up again. Rangers overturning that deficit 2-0 to win 3-0. Now play PSV. PSV they're going to have their league game cancelled, so it gives them a good run up and rest before they take on Rangers. Why do the English FA, why do the Scottish FA not help out their Premier League?
I just think it's how they are. They think they're above anything like that, and it's when common sense comes into it, Alan. I don't think there is any. I think it's one this man against that man, and he'll be saying something else, and they never seem to get round to it. I never fails to wonder. When I look around at the help that other countries give the clubs, it's not a lot, is it, to just change a few days or put one fixture where they can change it to somewhere. Rangers really, after their tremendous effort, you think they get a little bit of help, wouldn't you? But it just doesn't happen.
Doesn't surprise me at all, unfortunately, Neil. Neil, I want to talk to you about the top flight, if I may. No real surprises in terms of Haaland off to Flyer City, Núñez scoring at Liverpool, although Fulham played very, very well. Has there anything impressed you so far at the weekend's action there?
No, I tipped Man City when I saw Haaland sign for them. I thought Harry Kane would have been ideal from last year, 12 months ago, because I thought he comes short and brings people into it. But when you look at the players, they've got De Bruyne and Silva and all these other players that's in there, the passes that they're going to come up with during a game when the patient, because they have 67, 70% possession, don't they? So I don't think anybody. The thing about City and Liverpool is, I think Liverpool's a great side as well. I've always thought that Man City beat the bottom half sides easier. I always think you got a chance against Liverpool if everybody's on the game and they've got one or two lads off, like happened last weekend. I always think you've got a chance against Liverpool, whereas at Man City, I very rarely think you've got a chance of getting anything.
Neil, as a manager, I'm sure you've had some times where you've had to take armbands off players or fallen out with players. What do you think's happened with the Tyrone Mings-Gerrard situation, and what do you think of it?
Well, I don't think he was good enough. I don't think he was playing well enough. So the manager had to make a decision. And, I have to say that, you've got to agree with Stephen. Stephen's in charge of that. He can see what's happening on the games. There were quite a few mistakes towards the end of last season. And he's got to come back now in training and show Stephen that he's got his zip back, he's got his defensive side back in trot, and he warrants his position. It's as simple as that, I think, with them.
It happens a lot, doesn't it, Neil? There's a fallout in training ground as well, isn't there, that you probably don't know about all the time at football clubs?
Yeah, but that's it happens. Like you say, it happens all the time, doesn't it? I've had a few over my career, I'll tell you. But I think you've just got to leave it to the manager. You appoint the manager, and you've got to trust him, haven't you, in that respect.
What about Villa Everton? Frank, he's lost. He loses his best centre forward. Calvert-Lewin out as well. He's got no centre forwards. Villa desperate for a win as well. Okay, it's one game in, but all of a sudden it's
a big game,
a pressure pot, this one.
Well, I've got to say, I were quite impressed with Everton last weekend, and I feared the worst, and I didn't think they deserved it, mate. I thought they could. I thought the penalty could have been avoided early on that in that move up. But I were right pleased with them. What they've gone, like you say, they've got three sort of wide men playing up front. But the way they played and the structure, But the only thing about that is when you play well and lose, if you then come up against a Villa and lose, then it's another ball game. It kills you and your confidence. So I think that it's an important game for both clubs. I think Villa have had such a bad run, really, when you look at the last sort of 15, 16 games, and Everton coming into that. Having a good game but losing it. If they can momentum, I think it's a massive game for both clubs. That, Alan. I know it's early.
Yeah, Neil. Another club we were speaking about this morning. Just got a new manager. You think the place will be full of optimism, anything but. Manchester United, mate. I mean, from their signings to the look as though they might be planning more protests against the owners. I mean, a club like that, it's actually a shame to see. They just look as if it's a shambles in it at the moment.
And they go to Brentford.
It's a shame, but do you know, Ali, I think I was on with Alan, months and months ago, before Ten Hag come on. And I said, all this talk about it's going to take a few transfer windows. I think it's going to take 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
I just don't see it. I don't see the hierarchy behind the scenes being clever enough to get the right manager, to get the right players in that they need. I mean, when you started talking about, I can't even say his name, Alan, last week, the striker that West Ham let go.
Arnautovic.
Yeah, and they talk about signing him at Man United. Come on. They might as well ask me to come back in January. They'll probably ask me to come back in January.
Neil, I wanted to ask you about De Jong. Manchester United have been after him for 3 months now. If he was a manager and he ends up going to Chelsea, would that be embarrassing for Manchester United and the manager?
Well, from the manager's point of view, he will deep down blame the board.
Yeah.
And blame the chief exec, blame whoever does the dealings. Because from a manager's point of view, one of the most difficult jobs you've got is not the training ground, it's dealing with the people above to try and get your signings over the line.
Yeah.
And I've always found it hard work to get signings done. And it frustrates you, signings that turn out really well. I'll give you an example. When I first went to Middlesbrough, I wanted Kiefer Moore. Mm-hmm. And yes, it were a little bit more expensive than what we made, but I knew that he would be probably the one for me. Are you with me? Yeah. And then when I see him go here and there, and then we're really still looking for a centre forward, that's what frustrates me really as a manager. But I've got to say, you brought up today earlier about the Agamang thing and one thing and another on that. I mean, they can't lose on that, can they? It sounds like they'll let go of him, and they'll just end up paying wages, and they need an extra body in. It's not. He's not going to disrupt Chelsea because Chelsea's got that many good players and good characters that he'll not go in there and disrupt anything.
I find this a strange one, De Jong, right? And this is, we're told he's owed around 17 million quid in wages. He won't leave till it's sorted. But Barcelona are now saying, we'll keep you, but we're only paying you 6 million of that 17. How does that work, Neil? How can they get away with that?
Well, they can't get away with it if they owe it him, but it's all right. A club saying we'll keep you. It's like you call the bluff, don't you? For quite a while, over the years, crikey, I've had people above me said to me, "Well, we'll not play him then, or we'll not do this, or we'll not do that." But you're paying his wages. It's dead money. So you've got to come to some sort of agreement at some stage, and you know and I know that will be resolved before the end of the window. There's no way they'll end up there. They will do a deal of some sort. They're just trying to get into the corners to try and negotiate. They say 6 million, he says 17. He'll probably end up taking 10 and going somewhere else. But it doesn't help. It doesn't help Man United.
But what does it say for players that are signing for Barcelona now? Because it can happen to you in a year's time. Yeah. You're not paying more wages up front.
Hey, you play for Barcelona for peanuts, wouldn't you really? To play for them. Dear me, what a club.
But Aubameyang, just to finish, Neil, Aubameyang to Chelsea, and if they got De Jong as well, would that put them in prime position to at least finish third?
Yeah, I think so. I think they've signed some good players. I think, and they rather than Man United, where they're talking about this, that, and the other, and everything, they've gone and done it. The players, yeah, they still need the striker. But when I look at their play, they've done it. I think they've done it very, very. I think the new owners come in and been excellent, really, if I'm honest. And that's what it makes it even worse for the likes of Man United when you see, what's happening to their club behind the scenes. Yeah. So I think they will finish third. I've always thought that, and nothing changes on that. I mean, the only thing about this window, Alan, is when you get new owners, they tend to do all the business at the end of the window.
Yeah.
I remember at QPR. In April when we got promotion, I wanted 4 or 5 players. I mean, I named them. I had three of them at my house in Richmond, and trying to talk them. And Flavio was telling the club, I don't want to spend anything unless I get blinking. This time I'm selling the club, and it went right on until I think Tony took over the last week in the window, and we ended up rushing and signing 6 players, something like that.
Yeah.
And you can't do it like that. You've got to be more methodical, and I think Chelsea have done that. I think 1 or 2 other clubs will be panicking now, and I think we'll see some strange deals maybe before the end of the window.
Neil, always a pleasure, mate. Thank you very
much. Neil.
Just before you go, who won the quiz? Who won the quiz this morning?
I won 8-7.
I won it, mate. Won the tie break, Neil. Thanks very much for asking. I'm surprised you're asking right enough, Neil. But
I had to ask, Gary. Sorry, sir.
It was closer than expected, but yes, Ali won it. Thanks, Neil.
Cheers, Neil.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Alan Brazil. Thursday and Friday morning, 6 till 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.